and I'm a better version of your friends. I'm your best friend, Dory.
HBO Max's Search Party is a show about entitled Brooklynite millennials, but it's so much more than that. This dark comedy delves into the mindsets of self-absorbed, pseudo-moralistic young adults, especially through the main character, Dory Seif. In the first season, Dory and her reluctant friends go on a search party for a college acquaintance. By the fourth season, Dory is the one kidnapped, leaving her friends to find her. As the season ended with a complicated series of events and a white light moment, some fans were left confused. However, we're going to be trying to set the record straight. In this video, we're going to explain the ending of Season 4 of Search Party, but before we get into the video, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, as well as hit that post notification bell so you don't miss anything else from us. What happened leading up to the ending of Season 4? To better explain the ending of Season 4, let's recap the events leading up to it. Well, as we all know, the show started with Dory obsessed with searching for her missing college acquaintance, Chantel, while her boyfriends and hipster friends reluctantly tagged along. At the end of the season, the gang tracked Chantel down to a Montreal vacation rental where it turned out that Chantel hadn't been missing after all. However, Dory believes Keith Powell, a private investigator Dory had an affair with, was a threat to Chantel, and the group murders him. During the second season, Dory and her friends attempt to cover up the murder as our sanity slowly depreciates, and as a result, Dory is involved with yet another murder. In the third season, Dory and Drew are put on trial for the murder of Keith Powell, and Dory is completely denying any involvement. Despite the evidence being heavily against her, she's acquitted after making an emotional speech to the jury. As everything goes on this season, Dory's sanity continues to deteriorate. Finally, in the fourth season, Dory is kidnapped by Chip Rack, a man unhealthily obsessed with Dory, whom he believes will be his best friend. Chip imprisons Dory in a felt replica of her own apartment and slowly brainwashes Dory against her friends and gives her the identity of Stephanie. As Dory goes through the drama, she develops Stockholm Syndrome and becomes addicted to the persona forced onto her. What happens in the ending of the Season 4 of Search Party? Dory's friends finally find Dory after half-hearted attempts to search for her, but Dory is still heavily brainwashed by Chip. Because of this, they strap her down on a motel bed in which a memory involving Chantel triggers Dory's mind to deprogram. While it seems that Dory is heading back to Chip's to exact violent revenge, she actually returns to him to continue being held hostage, all to bury her and her past behind her. Chip traps her in a burning building, and as Dory screams for help, her friends decide Dory doesn't want to be saved. The finale shows Dory's funeral, leading viewers to the assumption that Dory died in the building as she was unable to get out. The funeral was attended by friends and family, as her friends give eulogies that demonstrate both their own characters and Dory's. During the funeral, 4 versions of Dory appeared as projections of various eulogies. In the end, each of the depictions of Dory merge together, and we can see she makes a heartfelt apology to her friends as she comes to life in an ambulance. "I saw everything," she says. Why does Dory return to Chip? We first believe that Dory had returned to Chip to exact the violent revenge we've seen her capable of. But to the audience's surprise, Dory returns to Chip to be captured by him once again, to be his victim, and even begs Chip to give him her false persona. Quote, "I just want to be free, but when I'm me, I can't escape being me," Dory pleads with Chip. "Please, Chip, just make me someone that I'm not." This decision Dory makes helps viewers to truly understand Dory's character. At the beginning of the show, most viewers sympathized with her and could even relate to her intentions. However, in the end, Dory had become a monster, and through her going back to Chip, we could see her recognize this and try to cover it up by being someone that wasn't her. Although through Chip and Dory's shared lunacy, it was easy for both Dory and the audience to see that she had really turned into a villain. What did Dory's funeral mean? Since it was presumed that Dory was dead, the funeral was a lot more meaningful, as we thought we saw the last time Dory would be represented by anyone. As her friends came up, they gave superficial and self-centered eulogies, demonstrating the personality of each of her friends. Throughout the show, we could see each friend go through difficult truths about themselves. Drew was unable to let go of Dory, Elliot gave up his values to become a conservative broadcaster, and Portia played Dory in a movie despite it disrespecting her friend. The eulogies had showcased how her friends had really abandoned all morality besides their own self-centeredness, but it also shed light on who Dory was, and they each described Dory. Each description had something in common, although they were also different as each of Dory's personas popped up. But as they merged into one Dory, we could see her epiphany as she realized who she was. Since we could see Dory wake up from the ambulance gurney, it became clear that the funeral was only a figment of Dory's imagination, or perhaps her subconscious at play, and that she finally realized that she was deep in denial. What's the deeper meaning of the finale? In this modern day and age, we kind of come to expect a lot of superficialness, and especially from the millennial generation as they go through fads of surface level social justice and other trends. Though millennials were handed down a disastrous world, as time has gone by, we can see that the generation is now in their 30s and approaching midlife. This has handed the generation power and high status positions, but most still refuse to take accountability. The season finale represents just this, the refusal to accept control. Dory has always struggled to find a purpose, as have her friends. They had believed that the disappearance of Chantel gave Dory a purpose, and so she became infatuated with this idea. However, as it came to show that the disappearance was false, Dory refused to accept this. The murder of Keith was something else the group had complete control over, yet refused to take responsibility for. Dory is made to believe that everything she's done has been out of her control, yet this is clearly not the case. This is what causes her outright denial of these ordeals, because she not only wants to take responsibility for it, but she doesn't want to accept the control she had and continue to have. So, although it was a shock to see Dory run back to her kidnapper, was it really? Though being kidnapped, Dory would assume no responsibility at all, play the victim, and not be who she knew she was. In the end, her epiphany came as she came to terms with who she really was, and what we saw everything after she died happened in her mind, because deep down, she knew that everything her friends said at the funeral was true. Is there going to be a season 5? If the season finale had been cut only half a minute short, we could very well have expected it to be the series finale, despite being on a highly depressing note. But as we see Dory wake up, this show isn't over for her yet, and there could very well be a next season, so we can see what really happened and what Dory will do to change herself. However, if there is a next season, it could be the end of Search Party as, for the first time, Dory has reflected on herself and is seeming to change for the better. Who knows though? Co-creator Charles Roger told Thrillist, quote, "We think that there's a lot to mine about what it could be like on the other side of death," Roger says. Hearing this, we can't possibly wait for the next season if the show is renewed. This marks the end of the video, and we hope this clears things up and maybe offers a different perspective. What do you think of Search Party? Do you think that the series finale means anything? And what are your theories on the potential next season? Thanks for watching, and until next time guys, we'll see you later.